headlines. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says ISRO is planning to launch satellite Aditya to study sun. In Australia, thousands told to evacuate from Victoria State amid fast-spreading forest fire. Grandmaster Koneru Hampi becomes Women's World Rapid Chess Champion. And in cricket, India under-19 to take on South Africa in the third and final Youth ODI in East London this afternoon. Narendra Modi has said that ISRO is planning to launch a satellite called Aditya to study the sun. In his Mann Ki Baat program of AIR, Mr. Modi said, India is quite advanced in the field of astronomy and ISRO has taken path-breaking initiatives in this field.
एस्ट्रोनॉमी के क्षेत्र में भारत काफी आगे है। हमारे पास पुणे के निकट विशालकाय मीटर वेव टेलीस्कोप है। कोडाईकनाल, उदगमंडलम, गुरु शिखर और हामतेल लद्दाख में भी पावरफुल टेलीस्कोप है। इसरो के पास एस्ट्रोसेट नाम का एक एस्ट्रोनॉमिकल सैटेलाइट है। सूर्य के बारे में रिसर्च करने के लिए इसरो आदित्य के नाम से एक दूसरा सैटेलाइट भी लॉन्च करने वाला है। खगोल विज्ञान को लेकर चाहे हमारा प्राचीन ज्ञान हो या आधुनिक उपलब्धियां, हमें इन्हें अवश्य समझना चाहिए।
Mr. Modi said the citizens should strive to understand India's ancient knowledge in astronomy and modern achievements in this field. He said that the young scientists in the country are not only displaying a great desire to know the scientific history, but also are resolute in fashioning astronomy's future. The Prime Minister also urged the listeners to develop stargazing as a hobby in order to boost the activities like rural camps and picnics. Mr. Modi also pressed on the need to form astronomy clubs on school and college levels. India will overtake Germany to become the fourth largest economy in the world by the year 2026, according to a report by the UK-based Centre for Economics and Business Research, CEBR. India is all set to overtake Japan to become the third largest economy by 2034. The report titled World Economic League Table 2020 said that India is also set to become a $5 trillion economy by 2026, 2 years later than the government's target of 2024. India has decisively overtaken both France and the UK to become the world's fifth largest economy in 2019. The report said that Japan, Germany and India will battle for third position over the next 15 years. The World Economic League Table is an annual calculation by CEBR jointly published by the CEBR and Global Construction Perspectives. The base data for 2019 is taken from the IMF World Economic Outlook. Ireland Prime Minister Leo Varadkar visited his ancestral village in coastal Sindhudurg district of Maharashtra yesterday. Some of his relatives who are based in Mumbai said that it was his first visit to Varad village in Malwan Tehsil after he became Prime Minister in June 2017. They said that Mr. Varadkar received a warm welcome in his village. He also visited temple of village deity. Varadkar's father, Ashok Varadkar, moved to the United Kingdom in the 1960s. Sri Lankan Navy has arrested 14 Indian fishermen along with their 3 boats on charges of poaching in Sri Lankan waters. A Navy statement said that the fishermen were detained in the seas north of Deft Island yesterday and have been handed over to Fisheries Department in Jaffna for further process. As per new rules effective since last year, the fishermen arrested for first time are given a commuted sentence of 3 years and released after necessary court procedure. The fishermen issue has been a long-standing issue between the two neighbors, and a joint working group has been set up to resolve the issue. Sri Lankan President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, during his visit to India last month, had announced to release all Indian boats in Sri Lankan custody, and necessary process in this regard has commenced. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates, visit our News on Air app and follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. You can also visit our website www.newsonair.com and our YouTube channel News on AIR Official. You are listening to our program International News, where we bring you news from across the globe. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more updates from across the world. In Australia, tens of thousands of residents and holidaymakers in the state of Victoria have been told to evacuate amid worsening bushfire conditions. Officials said temperatures of over 40 degrees centigrade, strong winds, thunderstorms and a change of wind direction meant today would be a day of extreme danger. Emergencies Chief Andrew Crisp said those in East Gippsland area should leave no later than Monday morning. More than 100 fires are continuing to burn across Australia. The biggest are raging near the city of Sydney, New South Wales, where more than 250,000 people have signed a petition calling for the New Year's Eve fireworks to be cancelled and the money spent on fighting fires. In the United States, New York Governor Andrew Cuomo has termed the stabbing of 5 people at a Rubby's house in Monze, Rockland County, an act of terrorism. We present you a desk report.
Local media reported that a man with a machete entered Rabi's property during celebrations for the Jewish festival of Hanukkah, knifing several people before fleeing on Saturday. Victims were rushed to nearby hospitals with no official details on their injuries. Police arrested a suspect in Manhattan within an hour of attack. 37 Grafton E. Thomas had blood all over his clothing and smelled of bleach. According to prosecutor, he was produced before the court on Sunday morning, but he not pleaded guilty. Kumar told reporters that this is an act of terrorism and he thinks these are domestic terrorists trying to inflict fears. Last year, a white supremacist walked into a Pittsburgh synagogue and killed 11 people, the deadliest attack against the Jewish community in the United States. Sanjeev Jastotia for AR News.
The UAE has condemned an attempt by terrorist elements to carry out a sabotage operation using a car bomb in Dammam, Saudi Arabia yesterday. In a statement, the UAE Ministry of Foreign Affairs and International Cooperation praised the vigilance of Saudi security forces and their efficiency in confronting such terrorist acts. A report.
The ministry reiterated the UAE's firm position and solidarity with Saudi Arabia in dealing with such acts and underscored its support for all measures taken by the kingdom to protect its security and stability. Bahrain has also strongly condemned the terrorist attack attempt which took place in Dammam, Saudi Arabia. The Foreign Ministry stressed Bahrain's solidarity with Kingdom of Saudi Arabia against all attempts to threaten security and stability, backing the Saudi efforts to combat terrorism at both the regional and the international level. The official spokesperson of the Saudi Presidency of State Security said that 2 wanted criminals who had planned an imminent terrorist operation were killed on Sunday in a security operation in the Saudi city of Dammam. The 2 wanted men, Ahmed Abdullah Saeed Suwaid and Abdullah Hussein Saeed Al-Nimr, were Saudis. The security operation resulted in the arrest of a third element whose name has not been disclosed. The vehicle seized on spot had 5 kilograms of highly explosive RDX substance prepared for the operation. In addition to the machine gun, 2 pistols, live ammunition and a sum of money was also found. According to Saudi press agency, monitoring had revealed that there were plans for an imminent terrorist operation in which terrorists were to use a vehicle equipped with explosive. Natasha Karnani for AIR News.
U.S. military launched airstrikes against the Al-Shabaab militant group in Somalia, killing 4 terrorists. U.S. Africa Command, AFRICOM, said in coordination with the federal government of Somalia, U.S. Africa Command yesterday conducted 3 airstrikes in 2 locations targeting Al-Shabaab militants in the vicinity of Quinio Barrow and Keliu Barrow, Somalia. It said 2 airstrikes killed 2 militants and destroyed 2 vehicles in Quinio Barrow, while a separate strike killed another 2 in Keliu Barrow. In Somalia, a Turkish military plane arrived in Mogadishu yesterday to evacuate those gravely wounded in a devastating bombing that killed 79 people on Saturday, overwhelmed local health services. The aircraft also brought doctors to help treat about 125 people injured in the blast. The blast occurred when a vehicle packed with explosives detonated at a busy security checkpoint. No group has claimed responsibility for the bloody attack. However, Somalia's President Mohamed Abdullahi Farmajo has blamed Islamist group Al-Shabaab for the attack. They regularly carried out car bombings and other attacks in their decade-long bid to topple the internationally backed government. Saturday's bombing was the deadliest attack since a truck exploded in 2017 near a fuel tanker, creating a fireball that killed over 500 people. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick updates, visit our News on Air app and follow us on Twitter at AR News Alerts. You can also visit our website www.newsonair.com and our YouTube channel Newer Air Official. You are listening to our program International News, where we bring you news from across the globe. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more updates from across the world. A bus with 16 Indian tourists on board met with an accident near Ain Sokna in Egypt on Saturday. The Indian Embassy in Cairo said the mission officials are present at hospitals in Suez City at Cairo. The embassy has released 2 helpline numbers. These are +20 121 1299905 and +20 1283 487779. I repeat the numbers: +20 1211 29905 and +20 1283 487779. 2 buses had crashed into a truck near Ain Sokna in Egypt's Suez Governorate. Ain Sokna is a popular seaside resort town in the southeast of Cairo. Official sources in Cairo said 5 people, including 2 Malaysian and 3 Egyptians, were killed in the accident. In another accident on Saturday, at least 22 people were killed when a bus transporting textile workers collided with a car on the road between the cities of Port Said and Damietta. Russia's President Vladimir Putin today thanked US counterpart Donald Trump for intelligence that helped to foil attacks on Russian soil.
The president's office in Moscow said that Mr. Putin thanked Mr. Trump for the transfer of information allowing the prevention of terrorist acts in Russia. Russia's FSB, a successor to the KGB, quoted by Russian agencies, said 2 Russian citizens were arrested on Friday, suspected of planning an attack in St. Petersburg during the New Year festivities. They appeared to have been preparing a terrorist act, the report said. Although Moscow and Washington are at odds on many issues, both regularly stress their mutual determination to fight terrorism. Anuja Kumar for AIR News.
Taliban's ruling council agreed to a temporary ceasefire in Afghanistan, providing a window in which a peace agreement with the United States can be signed. This was informed by officials from the insurgent group, but they didn't say when it would begin. A ceasefire would allow the US to bring home its troops from Afghanistan and end its 18-year military engagement there, America's longest. There was no immediate response from Washington. US wants any deal to include a promise from the Taliban that Afghanistan would not be used as a base by terrorist groups. The US currently has an estimated 12,000 troops in Afghanistan. The Taliban chief must approve the ceasefire decision, but that was expected. The duration of the ceasefire was not specified, but it was suggested it would last for 10 days. It was also not specified when the ceasefire would begin. In Afghanistan, a terrorist attack in Takhar province in northern part of the country late Saturday killed at least 17 local militiamen. Local Afghan militias commonly operate in remote areas and are under the command of either the defense or interior ministries. A spokesman for the governor of Takhar province said that the attack apparently targeted a local militia commander who escaped unharmed. Taliban have claimed responsibility for the attack. Attack came even as a temporary nationwide ceasefire is in place for a peace deal with the United States. In Iraq, anti-government protesters blockaded an oil field and rallied in southern cities yesterday, while political factions remain paralyzed in their attempts to form a new government. Several hundred people demanding jobs shut off access to Nasiriyah field, 300 kilometers south of Baghdad, which produces 82,000 barrels of oil per day. A report.
The 2-day-old blockade is the first to disrupt operations in OPEC's second largest producer since the start of the popular revolt set to enter its 4th month in the early January. However, Iraqi oil ministry said the blockade will not have an impact on production as well as exports, and the oil company's branch in the southern port of Basra will compensate for the losses. Iraq exports around 3.6 million barrels of oil per day. The youth-led protests demand the ouster of the entire political class that has run the country in the aftermath of the 2003 US-led invasion that toppled dictator Saddam Hussein. The protests have continued despite violence taking the lives of nearly 460 people. Natasha Karnani for AIR News.
In Iraq, 15 fighters, including commanders, have been killed in U.S. strikes against a pro-Iran armed group in western Iraq. An official from the Tehran-backed Hashad al-Shababi paramilitary told AFP that several fighters were also injured in yesterday's strikes. The Pentagon said U.S. targeted the Iraqi Khatib Hezbollah in response to a barrage of 30 or more rockets that was fired on Friday at an Iraqi military base, killing a U.S. civilian conductor. Repeated mortar and rocket attacks have since late October targeted American interests in the country, where the U.S. has 5,200 troops deployed as part of the international coalition against the Islamic State jihadist group. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick updates, visit our News on Air app and follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. You can also visit our website www.newsonair.com and our YouTube channel News on Air Official. You're listening to our program International News, where we bring you news from across the globe. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more updates from across the world. In the Philippines, the number of deaths from a powerful storm that hit the country on Christmas has risen to 41, with tens of thousands still in evacuation centers. Typhoon Pangphon left the Philippines on Saturday after devastating several islands in the central Visayas, including popular tourist destinations, but the extent of the damage continued to grow as assessments came in. The latest report of the National Disaster Agency showed that over 1.6 million people were affected by the typhoon. The typhoon damaged over 260,000 houses and forced almost 100,000 people to flee to emergency shelters. China will revise its historical regional GDP data under a unified accounting mechanism from early next year. The Chinese economy grew at an annual pace of 6.0% in July-September quarter, the slowest growth since 1992. The National Bureau of Statistics' new mechanism will unify the standards and procedures for calculating national and local GDP numbers, which had been calculated under different accounting methods adopted by local and national statistics authorities since 1985. This is All India Radio giving you the news. For quick news updates, visit our News on Air and follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. You can also visit our website www.newsonair.com and our YouTube channel News on Air Official. You are listening to a program International News, where we bring you news from across the globe. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more updates from across the world. Indian Grandmaster Koneru Hampi has become the 2019 Women's World Rapid Champion. She defeated China's Li Tengji in a dramatical final in Moscow, Russia. After losing the opening game, Hampi made an impressive comeback and collected 9 points each in 12 rounds to be tied with Tengji. The duo then played a fierce game to break the deadlock. Tengji finished with a silver, while Turkey's Ekaterina Atalik won bronze. This is a significant triumph for Hampi, who is India's best ever women's chess player. She's more at ease in the classical format and was clearly trying to take her skills in the rapid format to a new level. Norway's Magnus Carlsen claimed the men's title. In golf, Udayan Mane produced a flawless 7 under 65 on the final day to claim the thrilling one-shot win at the season-ending Tata Steel Tour Championship in Jamshedpur yesterday. Main 67, 66, 64, 65 determined the final round effort, saw him establish a new PGTI record for the lowest tournament total as he closed the week with a jaw-dropping 26 under 262 at Golmuri Golf Course. It was Main's 8th professional title and his second win on the PGTI this season. SSP Chaurasia had settled for second place with another outstanding total score of 25 under 263. Aman Raj, the third round leader, ended the week in a tied third place at 23 under 265 along with Delhi's Chirag Kumar 67. Australia thrashed New Zealand by 247 runs to win the second test on the series at Melbourne yesterday. Nathan Leon's spell of 4 helped the hosts in defending the massive target of 488 runs. Kiwis were dismissed for 240, including a strong 121 runs contribution by Tom Blundell in the evening session of the fourth day. It was the second heavy defeat for New Zealand, who lost by 296 runs in Perth, and will be playing for Pride only in the final test at Sydney beginning later this week. India under-19 will take on South Africa in the third and final youth ODI at Buffalo Park in East London today. The match will start at 1:30 p.m. Indian time. India have taken 2-0 lead in the 3-match series. In the first ODI, India defeated South Africa by 9 wickets, while in the second game, the visitors beat hosts by 8 wickets. And now, before we end the bulletin, here are the headlines once again. Prime Minister Narendra Modi says ISRO is planning to launch satellite Aditya to study sun. In Australia, thousands told to evacuate from Victoria state amid fast-spreading forest fire. Grandmaster Koneru Hampi becomes Women's World Rapid Chess Champion. And in cricket, India under-19 to take on South Africa in the third and final youth ODI in East London this afternoon. the globe. Stay tuned to our YouTube channel for more updates from across the world. For quick news updates, visit our News on Air app and follow us on Twitter at AIR News Alerts. You can also visit our website www.newsonair.com.